Hi. About time for another screen recording. About time for another YouTube vid. I haven't done one for a couple of months. Basically, there's absolutely nothing going on. I haven't got a motorbike anymore. I'm coming up to retirement, so I'm gradually getting rid of my clients with the larger sites. I'm sort of cooperating with anyone they want to appoint to take over their sites, or in some cases, they're taking it in-house, and I'm sort of coordinating with them. No motorbike. None of the town events are taking place because of the pandemic, of course. Even the farmers' market seems to have disappeared. So about the only thing left I've got to make videos of is Affinity Photo. And I've also reset this iPad. I wiped it and then restored it. And I've also discovered that if you hold down the screen recording button, you can actually turn the microphone on. And before, I was using a third party to make screen recordings, a third party program. But yeah, resetting the iPad has released tons of space on it. It's now only about half full instead of having a couple of gigs. So I'm hoping that this video will work out okay. What I'll do though is stop it just before I start making adjustments in Affinity Photo and save what I've got, in case I have to carry on the desktop version. So anyway, I took a couple of photos yesterday, very uninspiring photos really. But I'm going to prepare for Instagram. And I've just copied them over using what's it called? Air, whatever it is, from my iPhone to the... For a second, I just can't think of it. Gosh. Anyway, I've copied it over to the iPad. And I'm going to open it in Affinity Photo. Now, before I do that, I know one of the ones I'm interested in is actually in portrait mode. So I'm going to swivel around to portrait mode, import from photos. Okay, and here is a boat down by the river, opposite L&L's roughly, where, as you can see, the roof is covered in plants. Now, this is market day, so what this guy's obviously doing is supplying the flower guy in the market with fresh stock. The market is about, I don't know, a couple of 100 yards up, 150 yards or something away from here. So anything he's run out of, he can quickly come down here. There's a bloke manning the stall, and there's a bloke here. At least this is, I imagine, what is going on, because this looks pretty much like a retail operation to me. So, how would I prepare this this document for Instagram? Right, now, first thing I want to do is check that it is RGB. Let's go RGB 16. Okay, instantly it's a bit more vibrant. And now what I'm going to do is, and here I should say that Airdrop, that's what the word I was looking for, Airdrop. I airdrop this photo over from the iPhone to the iPad. And I should say, before I start doing this, that when I took up Affinity Photo about a year ago during the first lockdown, I watched a load of tutorials, but ones that were particularly helpful, the ones I started with, were from a channel called Affinity Revolution, which is run by a young couple called Ali and Ezra. And I thoroughly recommend you work through their tutorials, or maybe sign up for one of their courses, to get to know the program. And another general point about Affinity Photo is that Photoshop is still the industry standard. So if I was just starting out and looking for a career in doing this sort of stuff on the web or what have you, I would definitely study Photoshop. Because if you're looking to get a job, then that is what all studios are going to be looking for, basically. Affinity Photo is great for freelancers and the self-employed. It exports as Photoshop files. It's just started hammering down with rain, if you can hear that in the background. It exports Photoshop files, so basically with one or two glitches you can cooperate quite well, even with big studios using Photoshop. But yeah, if I was starting out, I'd use Photoshop at college or what have you. And another thing that I've been trying to get across with these tutorials, not tutorials, just demonstrations of the way I do things, is that when you're at college, when you're learning these programs, you learn how to do everything perfectly. That's absolutely fine. When you go into the world of work, you'll find there's a different standard, and that is good enough. Without wishing to be too cynical. But it's true. So you will find that you're constantly looking back and thinking, shit, I could have done that a bit better in the time available. But that's what experience is, you know? That is what experience is. And especially if you're preparing graphics for the web that is only ever going to be seen at, you know, tiny little... You know, most people see things on the web on their phones, and the photo is so small that even major glitches aren't very noticeable. But the standard you best follow is, what does it look like on a desktop computer? Because let's face it, no one is going to view it on anything larger than a desktop computer, probably. I suppose a TV, but then, you know, the DPI is very low. So constantly in work you're coming up against this standards thing, and gradually you learn that good enough is good enough, and also you build up experience. You can learn things absolutely perfectly at college. Can you always put all those things you learn at college into practice when you're in the world of work? And the answer is no, because you start looking for shortcuts and things like that. So these videos I do are not meant to instruct you how to do things perfectly. They are just, I'm always very careful to say they're just how I would do things. Right, rant over. Right, let's have a look at this photo then. Well, we got all sorts of strange angles going on here. We have got, over on the right, we got some railings which appear to be leaning to the right. And over in the top left, we got bridge, which is falling off to the left and rising on the right. Now, in the crop tool in Affinity Photo, down at the bottom, you have the straighten option. And if you tap that and draw a straight line, let's choose this. Right, this probably isn't going to work too well as to give us our vertical. Actually, this railing seems bent now I'm doing this. It's bent. Right, okay, never mind, because we can undo that. And we'll choose this next railing to draw. This is the line I want to be. Whoops. What happened there? Oh, I forgot to tap straighten again, you see? Right, and we've hit straighten. And it's made it worse, really. The bridge now looks much more tilted to the left. The railings don't look particularly straighter. And all in all, I got some funny perspectives on that photo. So the thing to do is just ignore it. And we'll hit the back button. and leave it as is. Now, what I'm going to do here, I don't think it's worth me cropping this. I suppose I could crop it a bit. Let's move over to original ratio. Let's see what it looks like cropped. That's what it looks like cropped. I suppose that's better. Using the rule of thirds, the left side isn't very interesting like that though. So let's go back to that. The left side actually, the boat fills more of the left-hand side using the rule of thirds. It looks more interesting like that in my opinion. And we decided not to crop it or straighten it. Actually, just as a matter of interest, let's choose the crop tool again. Let's hit straighten. And let's do this roof up here, which is meant to be horizontal, obviously. Right. Does that look better? I think it does, actually. So what we're going to do is get rid of these. It means we're going to have to crop it quite severely. Oops, I got unconstrained and I want original ratio. I'm going to have to crop it quite severely to get rid of the transparent bits. Let's apply that. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to save this now. Before I start going into adjustments, I'm going to save this before I start duplicating layers and what have you. So, export, ping, none of those. I've forgotten how to save as. Save a copy. File name. What should we call it? Canal. Or boat. Let's hit save history. And I'm going to save it on my iCloud drive. Pics, Affinity. Okay, that's so I can go back to it if I find I've crashed. Right, first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this layer. So we go up here, duplicate, go over to layer options. Select the new layer you've created, go to layer options, and here you get access to all your adjustments. And my go-to adjustment is soft light. I'll just get rid of that. And can you see how that's massively increased the contrast, which is what you're looking for on Instagram. You know, all the popular photos are heavily filtered, if you like, so that they stand out. And as you can see, that does pop a lot more, and we can check that by checking and unchecking here that layer I've just produced. Okay, that's with it off, on. Can you see what it did? Off, on. Okay. And next thing we go is we're going to go for adjustments, and we're going to go vibrance. When I said adjustments in the layers bit I just did, what I meant was blend modes. That's messed it up a bit, isn't it? Here we are in adjustments. Okay, and here we are in vibrance and saturation. So we're going to make it even more saturated. by turning up, moving this over to the right, by turning this up here, 10%. You might even try turning up just a little bit of vibrance. And to be honest, that looks fine to me. I mean, it's a quick process, you know. Most people are going to be seeing it at that size. So, and that, for a quick snap like that, to quickly upload to Instagram, that is basically all I do. You know, that's all you need to do. Upload it to Instagram. Keep it all going. Bob's your uncle. Okay, well, that's a bit short, but that's all you need to do, really. I mean, it's just not difficult. So, thanks very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you next time.